getting cartilage work or?
Yeah, there's like some torn up cartilage in my knee, so they're gonna go in with the little liposcopes. So they're not gonna really cut into me,
Oh, good.
and they're gonna go in some like liposcopes, but it's gonna be like non-weight bearing for a couple days, and
Do you
not
get
really
PT?
functional for a while.
You get PT after that?
No, so that's the thing. So I'm already PTing for my ankle, uh, and he said there's actually no PT for the knee. If I just do he'll give me some exercises. If I just do the exercises, the knee should just be fine.
Nice.
Yeah. Alrighty. If you want to talk about that during the show, I guess we can. I mean, I'm not, looking for symphony sympathy from anybody.
No, that was all I was wondering.
Yeah. All right. Wait, before I start, I actually haven't pulled up the Trello board. Do you have anything on the Trello board? What?
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude. Oh yeah, I forgot I put that on. Wow, you got a lot of stuff on here.
Yeah, I know.
And then there's the obvious stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I'm not even like net neutrality is not even on here.
I'm trying to get this lined up a little better. All right. Okay, you ready? I'm gonna try to give this a shot. Oh, do you have YouTube open somewhere? Do you have comments open?
I have the comments open, yeah.
I don't.
Or
So
the chat.
let me know if anything's going on in there, and I can jump in.
Cool.
All right, Thomas, did you know that coincidence? I think not.
I think not.
This is episode 87 of PHP Ugly.
Very nice.
Hey, Thomas.
Did you spend like all week on that one?
Yeah, that one was a deep dive there. I had to do a lot of digging on that one.
It was nuanced, but good. Good.
How's it going, Thomas?
Oh, not too shabby. Teenagers. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. You got the Christmas coming upon us. I am a celebrator of the Christmas, so I look forward to it every year. It's exciting.
I got smart outlets for all my Christmas lights. So now I can walk around the house with my phone and turn them off and on.
Oh boy. Well, we've had some interesting things happen today. We're coming to you live December 14th, which is a Thursday. And earlier today
Black
here in
Thursday.
the US, Black Thursday, yeah. Earlier here in the US, our wonderful FCC has decided to overturn net neutrality. And what that exactly is going to mean and how it's going to impact the inner tubes as we know it is yet to be seen. But you can pretty much assure yourself it will not be good. Did you watch any of this vote?
I saw bits and pieces of it where they were talking about how the comments there were lots and lots of comments, but none of them mattered because they don't care. So like they actually said that during the meeting.
It was that sort of those sort of comments that were driving me up the wall. I'm like,
right,
you can't do that. If you don't think that the commenting system was working, then you have to postpone the vote and figure out a commenting system that you're feeling
no,
good.
He didn't. The guy I saw literally said, real or not, the comments don't influence the committee because the committee makes its decisions independently. Not that we didn't read them. Comment. No, he said very clearly, whether or not they're real, we don't care. We didn't care in the first place. We read them, and a lot of them were just expletives, but that doesn't matter because we were going to do what we were going to do no matter what. It's like, well, then what the fuck are you doing? Like,
and that was the thing that was the thing that was killing me. I think it was actually the head of the or one of them. They're such idiots. One of them was talking about how the internet thrived and became successful before net neutrality. It did this and it did that before net neutrality. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, nobody's saying that it did it. What net neutrality was put in place for is to protect it as a free platform, open to everybody, and not throttled by corporations. It's like nobody's saying net neutrality was responsible for that. Net neutrality was put in place to protect that. Like, the laws that are put in place now weren't put there to be like, I can't walk down the street as a free person because the laws that are in place. I can walk down the street as a free person, and the laws that are put in place are there to protect that freedom. That's what net neutrality was. It was there to protect a freedom that was established. And it was so infuriating to listen to these guys talk. And you can just tell that they were just a mouthpiece of the administration.
Not just the administration, but of like Verizon. I mean, Ajit Pai is literally still shilling for Verizon on his days off. It's ridiculous.
The one guy who was like, I gave a very impactful speech why I was against net neutrality and why I thought it was harmful. Little did I know, 6 months later, I would be sitting on this board, voting on this. I'm like, oh, really? That surprises you? Yeah, you harp in about how much you're against it, and then you're surprised you're put in this position by this administration to vote on it.
Well, and did you see Trump's announcement immediately afterwards?
I did not see that.
It was a TV show stunt, which, I mean, shouldn't surprise me that he does this still. But remember when he got busted for holding a binder full of empty paper and saying that it was his tax plan?
Mm-hmm.
Basically did the same thing. So he had one stack of papers that was, quote unquote, all the regulations in 1960, and then he had another stack of papers that was 1,000 times larger that was all of the regulations in 2017. And there was a red piece of tape crossing between the two of them, and he had a giant pair of scissors, and he said, "I'm cutting the red tape," and cut the ribbon. And it's like, are you talking about going back to 1960s regulations so I can put leaded fuel in my car again, and so I can use
we can have leaded paint again? That would be awesome.
Yeah, like what is your point that things are more complicated now? Of course they are, because we're not in the health crisis that China and India are. We don't want to be. That's what these things are for. Cutting something that Title II was established human rights access to the internet. It basically said this is something that people need and use, and you can't take it away for the sake of profit. It's a human right. Part of Title II established the rural support systems and established standards for quality of service and what quality of service was and how you couldn't abuse QoS to throttle traffic. You can't take something that was set out and stated as a human need and then just say, well, regulation's bad. Like, no, the whole thing is ridiculous. It's not. My daughter, who has become, I wouldn't say politically active, but easily outraged recently.
Yes.
She believes that now Google searches are going to cost $1.50 a piece and things like that. And it's hard to explain to a teenager, like, no, they'll screw you in much more subtle ways.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. Yeah, it won't be that obvious, and it definitely won't be obvious for a while. But It's going to happen. I can guarantee you, the moment that vote was official, every ISP had a meeting in their boardroom on what their next steps are going to be.
Oh yeah, no. Comcast edited when they announced they were going to have the vote. Comcast edited its customer bill of rights to remove throttling between websites. They removed that clause so that they weren't lying anymore, I guess, when they do it. And I keep wondering when it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen really fast.
You think?
Because if it's slow, then when someone tries to overturn it, the corporations are going to have all this power saying, we're already doing it. You can't make us stop doing something. It's going to be harder.
A valid argument.
It's going to be harder to stop them from doing something than prevent them from doing something. So I think they're going to actually push the gas pedal on this and start as fast as possible.
You could be right. Who do you think is going to be the first? Well, who's going to fire the first shot?
Comcast.
Yeah, that seems to be the over-under with a lot of people is Comcast. And they were making arguments of, well, you realize net neutrality never actually prevented network throttling. It never actually prevented packaging, pricing by package. I'm just explaining to you what they said.
I know.
And they're saying it never actually prevented any of this stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, if it didn't actually prevent anything, then why are you doing away with it? It's like, what is your justification of getting rid of it? If you're saying that all this stuff could have been put in place even with net neutrality in place, then you have no argument here. And one of them was talking about the internet thrived and was moving forward so fast until net neutrality was established, and then it basically stagnated. I'm like, what are you talking about? What world are you living in?
Now no one uses it. The internet, old hat.
Yeah, like he's like, oh, your corporations aren't investing in the internet anymore. I'm like, what? Who's not investing in the internet?
And this is despite things like Verizon being given a $2.1 billion deal to establish fiber networks in certain counties and them never laying a single line.
Yep. Yep. So it's a scary time. It's a scary time to be in this business. It's a scary time to live in a society that's so dependent on this free internet, and it's going to be. I'm pretty scared. I'll be honest with you. I see how this plays out, and I don't know. I can't see it being better.
No, it's not. There's no world where somebody had like 4,000 miles of cable sitting in their backyard and they just were thinking to themselves, if only I could install this damn cable, but that darn net neutrality is stopping me. Like, I have one provider in my town that's even worth getting. I have two providers technically. One is DSL, and it's terrible.
God.
And the other is Comcast. So in what world does somebody think this is going to spark competition? Mm-hmm. The competition is going to be who can get the most money out of the consumer. That's the competition. And it's going to be an advertising battle. It's going to be a marketing battle, but it's not going to be pro-consumer. It's going to be anti-consumer the whole time.
At the end of the day, your internet bill is not going to get any cheaper. Your speeds are not going to get any faster. And the quality is not going to get any better. It's just you're going to have the same crappy internet, and you're going to pay more money.
Yeah, and this is stuff like Comcast. This year, Comcast sued a county to prevent them from installing municipal internet. This is the kind of company we're dealing with, where when they see something like municipal internet getting installed, they sue to stop it. That's bizarre behavior. I mean, it's so fundamentally immoral, you can't imagine someone's doing it. And
I wish I knew you were going that way. I would have looked up this information. Unfortunately, we do record this show live, and it's more of a natural conversation, and I don't have it at my fingertips. But I just recently watched. We have a friend of the show, TJ Miller. Lives out in the Detroit area, and I'm always fascinated by Detroit because, here in the U.S., Detroit was this huge, thriving city, basically, the heartbeat of the car industry here in the U.S. And then it literally died, and it almost got abandoned by the country. I mean, it basically is abandoned by the country. That they haven't had clean water in parts of Detroit for like a year now. And I mean, it's just like this horrible conditions. And I had stumbled across a project in Detroit where they're trying to bring internet access to the cities of the neighborhoods of Detroit, because there isn't any. Like, it's not like people can't afford it. There is no internet access. There's no companies out there offering this internet. So they're doing these point-to-point towers on buildings. They go to these apartment buildings and talk to the landlord. Like, oh yeah, go ahead and put an antenna up there, and basically creating this mesh network of free Wi-Fi through these neighborhoods. And it's hard work. I mean, this was a great documentary. I wish I was in a position where I could contribute or help out in some way with it, but what they were doing was fascinating. All right.
Yeah, but I think we're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
But I will give you the rundown of the news, the response from this. Washington State, the governor of Washington State said that they will attempt to maintain net neutrality within their state. I'm really hoping other states follow along with this, because that's the way we do it. The way we make it so that the federal government can't take it away is by implementing it at the state level.
Again, I know I talk about this a lot, but I'm hypersensitive about it. This is one of the things that sets our government apart from a lot of governments that people might not understand. That we have a federal government. The federal government basically rules over the entire country. However, they're not the most powerful government. Each state has a state government that can overrule federal government. That's why we have this weird situation right now with cannabis use, where certain states are saying, nope, we're legalizing, we're making cannabis legal even for recreational use, and the federal government says, nope, this is still a crime. And we're in this weird state with cannabis right now, where it's legal in certain states, illegal in other states, and it's straight up a federal crime in other states. And
it's a federal crime in every state. And if
that's true.
And if the FBI arrests you for something on a federal crime and you have weed, they will add the weed as a charge, even if you're in a legal state.
And what's even more interesting that maybe not a lot of people know is that in the states where it's legal, in the stores, these people who own these cannabis stores, they're restricted by certain things that they can do. So a lot of them, as far as I know, all of them is a cash-only business, because the banks are federally insured, so they can't take credit cards.
The banks can take their money, but won't. And so they're not just a cash business, but they're a cash under the mattress business. All the cash money they receive doesn't ever go to a bank. It's all stored in safes and stuff.
What's even more ironic is that they're still required to pay federal tax, even though the federal government does not recognize their business as being a legal business. They still have to pay taxes.
If you're selling meth on the street, you still have to pay federal taxes on that. Any income, whether legal or not, you still have to pay taxes on.
Yeah. Harsh reality of the weird sort of democracy we live in. But
sort of democracy. I wouldn't call it a democracy. I don't call it a democracy anymore. I call it an oligarchy. It's very obvious.
Yeah. So back to your point, Thomas. It's not easy, but each state in the U.S. can not overturn, but can establish their own sort of net neutrality regulation for their state.
Right. Now the states, they can't make it Title II, which is what it used to be, but they can protect it at the local level. It has different implications when it's Title II. Comcast got busted for throttling Netflix at one point because it was Title II. On the state level, it's going to be a lot harder to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing is that it still hasn't got into effect because Congress can, before this goes into effect, Congress can pass a resolution of disapproval, which would disallow the FCC to do this. So you can still email your congressman, go to battleforthenet.com, and that will let you contact your congressman and press for a resolution of disapproval. good luck. Republican-controlled Congress, not going to happen, but good luck.
Exactly.
Um,
and really, I'm not even sure how that works. It's like the FCC says, okay, we're not going to enforce this Title II anymore. And Congress comes back and says, no, you have to. The FCC is like, okay, we will.
Well, for Title II, FCC is not the enforcing agency.
They're not? I thought they were.
No. For Title II, the enforcing agency is the federal judiciary. If you say they're breaking Title II, the FCC doesn't get a say in it.
But the FCC is still the enforcer of it.
No, they don't enforce it.
Really? I thought they did.
They just established the law. They're responsible for enforcing a lot of things, but for Title II, they're not the enforcer for it.
Okay. Well, there you go. Learned something new today.
All right. But there are also several lawsuits that have been opened that are suing the FCC for breach of civil rights by taking away access to knowledge from poor people, which is also another tack to take.
I'm willing to back any effort at this point. I as much as I doubt any of it will make a difference, you just gotta hope that something will. Never know. All right, we should move on from this because we're already.
That's our early bird doom and gloom.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. So we should move on now. We like I said, we are recording Thursday, December 14th, which is also another kind of historic day. I guess Star Wars got released. I don't suppose you're going to the opening of Star Wars, Thomas?
No, I'm not going to the opening. I do have tickets though.
Oh, you do? You do have your tickets already? Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
I don't know when they are though. My wife bought them. I think they're sometime next week.
Oh, nice, very nice. I'm a Star Wars fan. I mean, I'm not a super fan. I'm perfectly fine waiting and for all the hype to calm down a little bit. It's not like a Batman movie where the sooner I see it, the better. But I am excited about this one. But are you a comic book reader by chance?
Not anymore. I used to be. And I still like to keep up on my comic universe knowledge, which is handy.
Yeah. So I stumbled across a hysterical series that I think you would appreciate, Thomas. It's called Tag and Blink. Have you heard of Tag and Blink?
I have not.
Oh my gosh, dude, you've got to read this series. So I guess it started off as a parody of Star Wars, and then the Star Wars fandom kind of embraced it. And essentially, Tag and I'm not going to give too many spoilers away, but Tag and Blink you're following these two people who were initially part of the rebellion, and they just keep popping up in all these Star Wars storylines, and they play these background characters, and they actually answer some of the questions of things that happen in a Star Wars movie. And you're never really sure, like, hey, what just happened? And they have like an involvement in it, and it is hysterical reading. It is probably some of the funniest reading I've read in a while, and it really has you rethinking back to the movie. It's like, wait a minute, they're at this point in this time. Holy crap, they're those guys. It is really good.
All right, we'll have to check that out.
Yeah, if you're a comic book fan and if you're a Star Wars fan, do yourself a service. Set aside your Star Wars universe knowledge for a second and get back to just a goofy little craziness and check out the Tag and Blink Star Wars series on some sort of comic book, digital comic book. I'm sure it's in print somewhere, but I think it's probably easier just get it digitally through Kindle or something, and read the Tag and Blink series. It is some of the funniest reading, and as a Star Wars fan, you would really appreciate it. I think it would be very confusing if you're not a Star Wars fan, but as a Star Wars fan, you will appreciate Tag and Blink.
Yeah, I'm not a super fan anymore. There's a dark period in the Star Wars universe that sort of lost me. But
are you referring to what the dark period everybody else refers to?
The prequels? Oh yeah. Yeah, they're bad. And it actually started
Mm-hmm.
before the prequels when they started doing the remasters. Because they announced the prequels, and then they were
true.
like, also, we added dinosaurs to the cantina scene. And they're like, what?
And
also,
Han doesn't shoot first?
Yeah, Han doesn't shoot first anymore. What? Also, we remade E.T., but without any guns. Everyone's holding flashlights now. What? What? Slow down. What are you doing? Why are you doing this to everything I love? Also, we made another Indiana Jones. No, stop it. I love him. Why'd you do this? Yeah, it was a dark period for my childhood at 28.
All right.
So, a while back, I got contacted because a PHP.
So I'm back on my scotch for a so challenge. So I'm gonna drink a scotch.
I'm still on Arrogant Bastard Ale.
I'm sorry, you were saying something?
So, I went to Pikes Peak PHP.
Pikes Peak?
And
what's a Pikes Peak PHP?
So, a developer from San Diego moved to Colorado Springs and was looking for a meetup, couldn't find one, so he started his own. And
this developer wasn't you?
Not me. So he reached out to a friend of the show, Cal Evans, and said, hey, do you know anybody who knows what they're doing with meetups in the Colorado Springs area? And Cal Evans said, you know what? I think there is a guy who was doing a meetup and moved to Colorado Springs. So yesterday I went to the first meetup.
Are you saying so a lot now just to try to get me drunk?
I'm not meaning to. I'm watching you drink and wondering why, and then realizing I'm making you do it.
Good God.
I am
first meetup.
I am helping the meetup organizer get things going and giving him all the tips and tricks and pro advice that I have after having done 2 meetups for 5 years.
So what do you do with the other 25 minutes of the meetup?
We
got like 5 minutes of knowledge. Get it? That's what I said. That was so. Are you going to share a name?
His name is Mike J.
There's a secret.
It's
Mike J. It's not Brian.
Brian J.
Brian J. He's from San Diego, huh?
Yeah, he worked with our mutual friend from the Laravel meetup, William.
No way.
Yeah, he works with William.
He currently works with him or did work with him?
When William changed jobs from the meetup place we were at,
and
he's at the new place. So he currently works with him at the new place.
Get out of here! Did he ever attend? I see he's a member of San Diego PHP. Did he ever attend San Diego PHP? SDPHP?
He might have gone to the downtown one. I doubt he would have been over at the north one, but yeah, it was very interesting conversations and meetup. Classically 5-person group there, and it's the first meetup. It has to build up. It doesn't have the name behind it yet, but it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome, man.
Of course, because I can't help myself, I'm presenting next month.
Of course, because that's who you are. I mean, that's the way you roll.
Yeah.
Well, God darn it, that is pretty impressive. If you live in the Colorado Springs, is that different? That's different than just Colorado, huh?
Yeah, this is the Springs or Colorado Springs. This is in the downtown area.
Okay, if you listen to the show and you listen and you live in the Colorado Springs area, give the meetup some love and give the user group some support and head out there to Peak PHP. Do you guys have an established meetup yet, or are you just kind of
the second Wednesday of every month?
Second Wednesday of every month. Do you guys do beer?
It's at a library, so we don't do beer, but they do have a sponsor and they do have food.
Colorado. I thought they did beer everywhere. I mean,
yeah, I wish. No, They don't have the beer culture that California does, unfortunately.
That's too bad. Oh well,
Yeah.
but yeah, still get out there and show them some love and cool. I see you already have 25 members. I mean, that's pretty impressive. You're out of the gate with 25 members. I think we didn't get 25 members until like 3-4 months into our meetups. So that's cool. All right. So in the URL, they're on meetup.com. It's Peak PHP. PEAK PHP. Check them out. And this holds true to anybody listening. If you have a local user group, whether it's a PHP user group, a Laravel user group, if it's a field you're interested in, it really helps the community out. It helps the user groups out to participate. Ideally go to the meetups, but even if even if you can presenting is like humongous. Like these meetups are always looking for presenters. So if you have a local meetup, offer to do a presentation every now and then. Pretty much everyone I've gone to.
Solid.
Yeah, I've gone to a few meetups for a few. I've been up to LA. I've been out to Arizona. I've never run into like a hostile meetup where people were kind of jerks. Everybody's usually very friendly, very welcoming.
There was that one time our meetup got a little hostile.
Yeah, well, that was because you were there.
That was the one I wasn't at.
But there's you don't typically have to be a subject matter expert to present. Just present on things that interest you and start a conversation. And you'd be surprised where these talks go and how much people get out of them and how much people enjoy them. So do that, please, for me. If you want to be my friend, do that. I appreciate it. And if you don't want to be my friend and you really want to irritate me, do it twice, and that would really irritate me. Like do it. Go to 2 meetups, and I'd be like really pissed off.
Yeah, I was looking through my previous presentations to see if I had anything that would work out. Something I could just throw together.
Mm-hmm.
I have 30. I have 30 presentations on my Google Drive that I've given at SDPHP and Laravel.
And if you're anything like me, none of them you feel like are good enough to give again.
No,
like,
they're all. I need to rewrite all of them.
Yeah, that's me. It's like I have a huge folder of talks I've done. I'm like, these are all crap. I would never do these talks again. Oh, yeah, cool, man. Well, congratulations. I see you've been tagged as one of the organizers, which makes me feel really good. Not only are you going and participating, but you're actually helping out with it. So yeah, cool, man.
Give my 5 minutes of advice.
That's it.
Now I'm an organizer.
Cool. All right, what else we got?
Well, I've got one thing. We talked about it a little bit earlier. So I'm working on Buscoin, which my own self nervousness, whatever imposter syndrome thing, just saying the name of something that I made up, just saying a fictional name makes me feel embarrassed.
Buscoin? No, nothing to be embarrassed about.
Every time I hear it, I cringe a little. I just, that's not a real thing. That's something you just made up. Don't tell people to say that.
Didn't somebody tweet about that? Didn't I see?
Yeah, there was a tweet about that. Someone was talking about sort of co-opting that type of system. But I'm at the point now where I need to market it a little bit more, and I'm already having enough trouble just saying the name of it without blushing. I'm having a lot of trouble marketing it. I've emailed a couple people about it and said, "Hey, just what do you think of this thing?" and haven't gotten any replies and don't really expect to.
Yeah.
And I threw it up on the altcoin subreddit, which was I expected to either get downvoted into oblivion or to get 1 downvote, so I was at 0 votes, and then just get ignored forever.
Yeah.
Nothing happened.
What happened?
No downvotes. No upvotes.
No upvotes.
No comment. And a total of 15 hits on the site that day. It's like it had the same effect as farting in the wind. It was really
You know, we have some experience with marketing. Honestly, we're not great at viral marketing. So from a business perspective, from Diego Dev's perspective, we've never really done any marketing. It's always been, and we had pride ourselves on it being an organically grown company that people find out through word of mouth.
Now that's not entirely true, because I did wear my Diego Dev shirt to the meetup last night, and I'm kind of billboard shaped.
That's still organic though. You're an organic person.
It was 100% cotton. You're right.
Now, in complete transparency, that we've wavered a little bit from that, not intentionally, just kind of as a matter of factly. So we've done things like, we sponsor this podcast, we sponsor the Lara Chat podcast. We don't sponsor them to get our names out there. We sponsor them because we believe in them. We believe in the people doing them. We believe in the conversations that are going on with them, and so we want to make sure that they're able to do that. So we've sponsored it, and as appreciation, they throw our tags up, they throw our logo up. Something similar happened with the PHP Architect podcast, but on a kind of a larger scale, like one that I had never anticipated. John and I had agreed to do the PHP Architect podcast. We agreed to do it free of charge. We weren't asking for anything. We just wanted to kind of do it and we told them, we don't know if we want to permanently do it. We just want to do it for a little while, get a feel for it, see if there's a market for it, and just go. We didn't expect any compensation, but the people at PHP Arc felt, I don't know if they felt obligated, but they wanted to show their appreciation, and they gave us a half-page ad within the magazine, within the printed magazine. So the printed magazine, obviously the digital magazine, has a Diego Dev ad in it. And that was something I almost told them not to do it, because I felt really weird about that. It kind of the same thing. It's like, I don't really need this sort of advertising, because we're not looking to take on just random clients.
Right.
Like, the same way that people hear about us from word of mouth, there's a process. There's like a dating period. Yeah, before we take on a client, and we're not looking for these onesie twosies. Hey, my sister needs a website for a church sort of request. But again, we were appreciative of it, and we're happy it's out there. It's kind of nice, but we're not like viral marketers, and which is kind of hurting us a little bit when we talk about Wave PHP. So Wave PHP is, again, the conference that John and I are putting together for the community. So this is not really a Diego Dev endeavor, although Diego Dev now is one of the sponsors, because we had to pay bills on the conference. But it's John and I put it together for the PHP community, and we try to get the name out there and say, hey, this conference is coming. But again, we're not viral marketers, and we don't really have a knack for that. And, we still kind of hope for that organic growth of, oh, hey, I know these guys, or I know the people who are going to this conference. I'm interested in going, is kind of what we're hoping for. We'll see how it goes. But
yeah, I think the call for paper is going to change that quite a bit too.
Yeah. So I've said it the last couple of podcasts. I'll throw it out there again. This is a warning. Once those calls for papers start to come in and we start to select speakers, this blind bird pricing that we have out there, this ridiculously low blind bird price that we have out there, will go away, and it will not come back. I can promise you that. I think even if we offer discounts to user groups, it won't come down to this blind bird pricing price. I can't see that happening. It doesn't really make sense. So if you are interested in coming out and you think you're going to come out, you might want to go ahead and snatch up a ticket. I'm just going to put that out there.
Also, if your company's paying for it, tickets are not available until right before the event.
No, actually,
only full price tickets.
Actually, the full price tickets are available now, and we say that. We're again very clear. This is to support the community. We're trying to make the conference as accessible to everybody as possible. But yeah, if you have a company paying your way, we would appreciate you paying full price. It's still a super cheap conference even at full price. So that is an option that's out there, and it's available today. If you want to know what the full price ticket's going to be, you're more than welcome to hit the site, and you'll see it out there. So full price tickets are out there if you want to buy them, and we would appreciate you buying them. But so again, with Buscoin, you're looking for that spike of interest. You don't really have that time for that organic growth. You want some immediate.
And I have no idea. I have no idea who it is I'm supposed to be talking to at this point in the process. I basically got to the point where I've spun up 2 servers that are required for maintaining the blockchain initially.
Mm-hmm.
And then I spun up the pool that will be connected to the plugin component. And I've got information that I'm working on spinning up the sort of translator engine between the pool and the plugin. There's a little proxy thing that has to go on.
Mm-hmm.
But I just sort of had a night where I sat down and thought, okay, I have 200,000 of these coins now. They have literally 0 value. How do I drive anyone to want them?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not to want them because I want money. This is not about making money. Sure, that'll be great when it happens, if it happens. But this is about supporting a community of people who are getting screwed over by advertisers and by policies on YouTube and Twitch and stuff like that. And how do I make them care if the tokens have 0 value whatsoever? So I thought of a couple ideas, something I call shadow mining, where you split the mining between a currently valued coin, and then you cash out the currently valued coin into your current unvalued coins.
Mm-hmm.
So I could mine Monero and then put the Monero money into a pool owned by the company, and the company could pay out based off of the current price of Monero. But that's dependent on a different market, and that sets up a whole problematic scheme in the future about switching over to the independent value of the Buscoin. And I thought about selling off like initial shares to an investor and taking that money as a pool to artificially set the initial value of the coin. But then that devalues the idea of mining. If you're mining, you're devaluing the coin because you're taking from the pool by just mining. Then there's an ICO, which is something that I've not wanted to do. ICOs are weird, but I'm starting to get why they're necessary for some systems.
We were talking a little bit about meetups in the Colorado Springs area. Is there by chance a cryptocurrency meetup out there?
The one that I went to was just a investor 401k into Bitcoin.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that on the show. Yeah, it was kind of a Ponzi scheme. Yeah. And again, San Diego has got a huge, thriving cryptocurrency group community out here. The cryptocurrency meetups I've gone to have been some of the biggest, craziest meetups I've ever been to, as far as just sheer capacity of people going to a meetup. It's been out of control.
I might need you to go and represent me then. Just go say,
I might be willing to do
hey,
that.
It's not my project, but this is my buddy in Colorado. Because around here, I signed up for one that was a Bitcoin meetup, and it's in Denver. I was ready to drive out to Denver.
How far is that for you?
About an hour.
Okay, so not too bad. It's like going up to LA.
But you know me.
Well, yeah, there's that.
That's pretty bad. But like I said, since I moved to Colorado, I'm now cured of my agoraphobia, so that's pretty great. But I was ready to go to it, and then I was looking over all their rules and stuff, and it said first thing off, Bitcoin only. Absolutely do not discuss anything other than Bitcoin. No altcoins, no Ethereum, no Litecoin, no nothing until after the meetup.
Well, I was like, after the meetup.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not sure what they're talking about then during the meetup. They're just talking about stock prices for the whole thing. It's
so I'm back on your website, buzzcoin.com. That's BUSKOIN.com.
Yeah.
Buzzcoin.com. Something you might want to think about doing is moving up your get notifications to literally right under your Buzzcoin right when you hit the page.
Yeah, I probably should do that.
Yeah,
I also need to get a PO box. I'm using MailChimp.
Okay.
You have to have a real physical address to mail to.
Mail what?
MailChimp requires a physical address.
Really?
For the terms and conditions page.
Huh. Okay.
And they use the first address that you put in there, and I didn't know that. Friend of the show, Marcus notified me that my address was publicly visible.
Oh, geez. Well, that's nice. Friend of the show, Marcus. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I would probably do that. You know what I did for Wave PHP also recently, and I'll throw this out there for anybody interested, is I posted on Telegram. I created a public Wave PHP Telegram group. So as we get closer to the conference, if people have questions or want to start to interact with people going to the conference, they could hit this Telegram group and have a conversation with us. I don't know if that makes sense. I mean, right now I have one person in the Wave PHP Telegram group besides myself and John. So I don't know. I mean, just try to open up some. No, it's actually not Frank.
Just a wild guess.
But again, I'm a terrible person to ask about this, but yeah, I still believe in opening up as many avenues of communication as you can. So,
I think that's my problem, is that I don't want to expose myself to the seething masses that is the internet, because they're awful. I don't want to put myself out there, but I'm not going to get any hits if I don't put myself out there.
Either you got to, or you've got to designate somebody to do it for you.
Yeah. And I would have to figure out who that would be. I don't know how that would. Yeah. Trying to find somebody to do this stuff it's all.
Say, hey, I came up with the idea. What more do you want me to do?
Yeah. I've done literally 30 hours of work. How am I supposed to do more than that?
Yeah. Oh man, I closed my Trello board, and I think I had the next card moved over. Oh, I remember what it is now. When I'm getting back to it.
Let's pause 1 second.
Okay.
We're at
48:32.
48:32. All right.
Friend of the show. Friend of the show. Friend of the show. Let's do this.
All right.
Just moving creating a couple cards to move over here. Let's put this over here, and let's do one for Buzzcoin too.
And let's do a clap check when you want to get started again.
Yeah, get this put together here. If you're watching the show live, this is the ugly edited, the parts that normally hit the editing room floor.
Or don't, if you listen to last week's episode. Every time we mentioned something was going to be cut, I left it in.
Yeah.
You said last week's was too ranty. This week we started off. This week we started off with net neutrality.
But how could we not?
I know.
I mean, how could we not? Seriously. Although I did get some feedback from a listener, friend of the show, Frank, says that you need to pay attention to our levels a little bit more. You're coming in way louder than everybody else.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't particularly notice it myself, but I don't know. What he said he experienced, I have done before, where ours come on and somebody's loud. Okay, clap check in 3. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Yeah, that's at 5120 if you want to write that down.
Well, that's what the clap check's for.
That's true. That'll pop up. Okay. All right. Okay. Get back into this.
So,
you know what I've been missing, or you know what I think is missing from Facebook, Thomas?
Little kids.
I think they need more children. Yeah, exactly.
It's a lot more of them.
There's just not enough young children on Facebook chatting. We need more. Fortunately, Facebook agrees with me. It's a weird situation. Like, Facebook has almost done a complete 180 on this topic, where when my kids first were interested in signing up for Facebook, they were technically too young. Not technically, they were too young. Facebook had an age restriction of 13, where if you were under 13, you just couldn't have a Facebook account. Now, that doesn't prevent a kid from having a Facebook account. They just lie about their birth date. Little did anybody know that Facebook would become so prolific in everybody's life and be around for so long. Well, it appears now that Facebook kind of sees the error in their ways and thinks that young children should be allowed on Facebook and should be allowed to chat. And they've implemented a whole separate chat system for kids called Messaging Kids. You still have young children. Are any of your kids under 13, Thomas?
No, not anymore.
Okay.
No.
Did you read this article at all?
You know what? I didn't. I read the compendium article where the former Facebook exec said that Facebook is destroying society fundamentally.
We'll get to that one in a second. So apparently, Facebook is supposedly doing a best effort to protect the children and who they can chat with, and it's all kind of managed by a parent. And I actually got prompted for I don't, again, I say this all the time. I don't know why I keep saying it. I don't use Facebook a lot, but I do pop on occasionally. And I was wondering why I was getting prompted for this new messaging service. First thing, I don't have any children that young, and Facebook should know that. But
which is a terrifying thing to hear you admit.
I know. But I was getting prompted, and it was telling me how I could allow my kids on Facebook. I could set up who they can message to, when they can message to them. And of course, they were selling it as a whole security thing and way to stay in contact with your children. And I just don't know where I am with this.
I know exactly where I am.
It seems inevitable that it was going to happen. Where are you at with it? I suppose you don't agree with it?
It's a hard no.
A hard no.
I regret every day how early I let my kids get involved unmonitored in social media. I haven't had a crisis. I haven't had a crisis situation.
But it only takes one. It only takes one selfie, man.
Yeah, I have had some clear situations where some stupid misunderstanding is perpetuated by social media. And I remember in the 90s that there was a constant discussion about how text cannot properly emote emotion. It cannot properly show the context of anything that you're saying. And it was a big talking point about when people started using smiley faces and other ASCII-based emoji characters. This was the attempt to try and emote what we were saying. Now, the conversation is not being had. It's just everything is taken poorly or positively. But it's only thumbs up or a heart.
When you can chat with somebody with wearing a dog face, I mean, why do you have to worry about that anymore, right?
Because kids are terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean kids are terrible in a, like, I'm a tired old man sense of the word. I mean, biologically, the things kids are driven to do and the way that they think at this age is awful.
Mm-hmm.
There was a recent study that the results of which basically said children's brains can't tell the difference between what's important and what's not important. I'm sorry, not children, teenagers' brains. So teenagers can't tell what's worth getting upset about or not worth getting upset about. And so they get upset about things that are not worth getting upset about. And it throws total chaos into their lives. And Facebook is such a flood of crap. Even if it's tightly monitored and restricted, the moment you get them on a device and they start chatting with their friend and you say it's okay because you can always chat with your friend on this device, then they're going to install the one that you can't monitor and they're going to be using that instead.
That's it. And you know, once they have access to the computer, to the cell phone,
it's over.
It'll leach out. Yeah, I'm with you on that. And
you have to treat it like normal computer security. Physical access is everything. If you give them the phone, it's theirs now.
We should talk about this more often because you, me, and John are all at different stages of raising children.
You're girls. You have twin girls.
Yeah, I have twin daughters, but they're adults now. They're 19 going on 20.
I wouldn't say adults.
No, they're legally adults. But I completely agree with you. I gave my kids pretty much unfeathered access at a very young age, and I definitely regret doing that.
What do you think very young is? 13, 12?
Yeah, it was about that age where they each had their own private cell phone device that had connectivity to the internet. You know, fortunately, we didn't have any horrible incidents. We had a couple of bad. Well, I guess we did have one horrible incident that I could, if I really wanted to take it back to that, I could. But it would kind of be connecting the dot thing. But either way, it was a mistake. And I know it was a mistake. But at the same time, you know...
Is it a mistake that every parent makes? That's the question. Does every single parent do it over and over again?
Well, and not only that, but it's like the kids, I'm sure it's more so with your kids, and it's going to be even more so with John's kids. They can't function without this access. Like,
oh yeah, no, a cell phone is mandatory at my kids' school. They have to have a cell phone.
Are you being facetious? Are you being serious?
The part of their curriculum requires them to have apps that are school specific on personal cell phones.
Get out of here. Really?
Yeah, high school, not the junior high, but the high school. So starting at 14 years old, it's fully mandatory.
Wow.
Or it's total ostracization somehow. It's a total nightmare for the kids. I mean, that's the thing is they're going to tell you how awful it is to be the only kid without a phone, and you're going to eventually cave.
It's not only that. I mean, like my kids, there were homework assignments that they would not have been able to do. You know, it's like, oh yeah, well they could go to the library and get access. The thing is if they realize there's a device they can go to and get access, then game over, right? They have that access. And there were assignments in school where there was no alternative. They had to have access. They had to get on the line. They had to get online. They had to do these projects. And oh man, it's just like I kind of was like, well, I'm a professional. I do this for a living. I know what to look for. I know how to monitor it. I know how to take care of it. And there's just no,
there's
no wrangling this. Yeah, it's
when I first, because I am a stepdad. I picked up the kids at 7 years old and 8 years old, 7, 7, and 8. And I said to myself, well, when it comes time, I will have the tightest fucking network you've ever seen. I will know every packet coming in and out. And I tried to set that up, and it took a long time, and I gave up. And it's not easy. Like, I consider myself an expert in security, network security, and programmatic, and I just could not invest the time that was required to track every device in the house, every address it was resolving to. If it's Facebook, then God knows what they're seeing. Snapchat is like, yeah, Snapchat's how they talk to their dad. How do I monitor that now? I can't. And then everything's HTTPS, and it's like, if you're a parent and you're thinking about phones and computers and tablets and that stuff, don't think that you can monitor it, because you cannot. The flow of information is so incredibly high. There's bigger fish to fry. You have to bite the bullet and either say absolutely not or fine, here you go. But when you do that, once you've done that, you've cast the reel. You can't pull it back. It's out there.
Yep. Yeah, it's you can't put that genie back in the bottle. That's for sure.
Yeah, and all of their friends have phones, and all of the worst things I was afraid of have been confirmed by the kids. They think all of the horrible stuff on the internet is just hilarious, and they share it amongst each other. And I'm like, that is terrible. This is awful. This destroys you as a person to see this. And they're like, yeah, but it's funny. Meme remixes of cops shooting innocent people, that type of stuff, where it's like, Jesus Christ, somebody made this, and the only people watching it are 14-year-old kids. It is crazy. And that's absolutely, like, that's what Instagram and Snapchat is. It's a lot of innocent stuff, but some stuff that's just terrible, terrible stuff. And I think back about when I was a kid, and it wasn't much different. I was on the internet very young for my generation. I was 14, I think, when I got unlimited internet access. But it wasn't like it is today.
Young?
Yeah. Well, I was an early adopter.
Yeah,
I got my parents to buy cable internet for me when I was 15. So I had Cox from like 15 to 35.
Damn. I still remember I was living at the beach in Ocean Beach here in San Diego, and I got a thing in the mail, snail mail, talking about Cox was going to have a demo of their new high-speed internet, and it was at a local bookstore. And so I'm like, I want to go check this out. And I go out there, and I see it. And I remember coming home telling my wife, "We're buying this. I don't care how much it costs, but we got to have this. This is the way everything's gonna. This is how we're gonna do everything in the future." And the wife was like, "You're out of your mind. We got AOL. We're perfectly fine.
We're set. We got the demo discs.
We've got 600 free minutes still, honey. So forget about it. We're not paying for internet. It's free right now." And yeah, that was the craziest. That's funny. It's funny. I remember that. I remember it so clearly. I'm like, babe, you were clicking links. It was just like you were turning a page in a book. Things were coming up so fast. And keep in mind, when high-speed internet first hit the market, not only was it high speed, it was high speed. There was nowhere near the congestion on the wire that there is today.
Well, not just that, but web pages were half a K. I mean, this was pre HTML1. This is when people would write a story and then put an under construction banner on the site, and that was the whole thing.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, web pages were meant to come up over dial-up, and oh man, high speed was just mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. But you know what? I cut you off a little bit on another card you had about a Facebook executive. Did you want to talk anything more about that?
I just want to echo what the person said, is that one of the people who was in charge of the vice president of user growth has come out and said that fundamentally Facebook is destroying how people communicate and regrets everything that he did to improve.
He regrets working for the devil. He's like,
yeah, essentially, yeah. Which I think speaks volumes. When somebody comes out of a company and says, I regret everything I did there despite the millions of dollars they paid me, that's worth taking notice. Yeah. Like you should probably see what they're saying, because that's a damning statement.
Yeah. All right, so we've already talked a little bit about cryptocurrency, as we talked about Buscoin. And but I did want to circle back around on it a little bit. One of the articles we talked about last week, not articles. One of the topics we talked about last week was, these companies that are encouraging people to move their 401ks over into Bitcoin. And I think we have another friend of the show. I think we have a friend of the show who works for Coinbase, because not shortly after, I think.
Well, let's let John take this one. John?
Yeah, John, you're our cryptocurrency expert. Why don't you give us some feedback here? Thanks, John.
Nothing. That's weird.
Yeah. Did we not mention John's not here today?
I don't think we mentioned that.
Has anybody noticed? That's the bigger question. Has anybody noticed John has not been here all the time?
That's all that's important.
Yes, John is absent today. He had, I guess, better things to do. I don't know if he's going to see the Star Wars movie, if he's hanging with some real friends. I don't know what's happening. He's just not here. I can't say we miss him. I don't know. John, if you ever actually hear that, of course we miss you. We love you, but no, we don't miss you.
We're stoically carrying on without you.
So I think we have a friend of the show who works for Coinbase, because not long after
I could use that contact.
We talked about that. I think it was before we released the podcast, so they must watch live. I'm pretty sure, like the whole Coinbase people watch us live. I'm sure they're watching us now. Coinbase sent out an email to users of their system, which I am one, obviously, and they sent out an email that says, please invest responsibly. Basically encouraging people to, the market is thriving right now. Don't sink your life savings into this. Don't go willy-nilly. And it's a pretty well thought out kind of, hey, there are issues with this platform. There are concerns that you should be aware of. You need to be educated. You need to understand what you're doing. It was a good and timely kind of release. I know, again, we had that conversation last week about websites encouraging people to do 401k. We talked earlier in this show about your bad experience to the one cryptocurrency meetup you'd gone to. That kind of sounded like a shady deal, and we'd covered that on a past show as well. It's good to see a CEO of one of the more respected cryptocurrency platforms out there come out and
I would say the premier easy buying and selling platform.
Yeah. It's good to see them come out and say, hey, cool your jets. This is not easy money. This is, you need to know what you're doing. This is not a sure thing. And it was good to see. It was refreshing to hear that. And it's funny because, we talked last week about how cryptocurrency is finding its way in mainstream media, mainstream television shows. And my daughter and I, we found ourselves in a credit union today, opening up an account for her. And we ended up having a cryptocurrency conversation there as well. And, she was curious. She was thinking, why cryptocurrency isn't a real thing. It's not, kind of the conversation I told you I had with them when they were younger. It's nothing. There's nothing there.
The heartbreaking realization that there's nothing behind real money either.
That's the conversation we had. I'm like, the thing that separates this from, and we had the whole, global market, no government. The users of the cryptocurrency are setting its value, and so it was a good conversation to have. It's funny how often I find myself of the three of us, I'm the least involved. I'm very intrigued by it. I am an early adopter of it. I am perfectly comfortable using it, but I don't get on my soapbox and preach the benefits of cryptocurrency and everybody should invest in cryptocurrency or everybody should be using cryptocurrency. I don't do that. And I definitely don't follow the minutes like, you and John, where you guys get in these cryptocurrency conversations. I'm just like, I had a Bitcoin and now it's worth more. So awesome.
Yeah. And that's the thing though, is so there was this big thing. There was a big spike. I told the story about people selling a house for Ethereum, somebody paying off all their bills and their mortgage, et cetera, et cetera. Those stories hit the news media, and so the media started really covering cryptocurrency within the last couple months, especially since a bunch of currencies have gone up like 300% in a couple months. So I keep seeing stuff where I hate the term, the mainstream media outlets keep covering cryptocurrency, keep covering Bitcoin, and they always get some writer who has no clue what's going on. It's somebody who read an article on a cryptocurrency news site and then tried to rewrite it in their own words, and it's somebody just who has no idea. The article I saw was on CNN. They said Bitcoin loses 25% in 7 hours. By the time I read the article, which was 25 minutes after it was posted, it was back up and then over where it was when the article was written. I'm like, well, of course it was. These people don't understand what cryptocurrency is and what the fluctuations are like. Bitcoin at its worst today lost like 35% or something, but then it bounced back immediately because that's how these currency markets work. If you're interested in cryptocurrency, stay away from media outlets that are not experts. Bitcoin is at 17,369 right now. And earlier today it was at 16,400.
That's insane.
It's $1,000 difference in a couple hours. It's
okay. So I want to circle back around on a topic I had last week that we actually got a little bit into, more so than a little heated, more so than I anticipated. And I see you had a kind of card referencing it on here, so I'll let you get to that in a second. But I did want to kind of state something. So we were talking about how YouTube was pulling, or Google was pulling YouTube from the Kindle show and the Fire TV. And when I was talking about the article, I had only gotten like very little exposure to it. But, I kind of had opinions about it. And I stated, hey, I never felt that Amazon was a good person within the Android ecosystem.
The GGG.
Steward. I never thought they were a good steward of the Amazon or the Android ecosystem. And they excluded a bunch of Google things from showing up, like on the Kindle and blah blah. We talked about this. I didn't realize how deep this story went, and I even was in disbelief where I validated some of it and actually saw some of it not true, maybe. So let me explain to you. I guess there's this whole battle between Google and Amazon has been going on for some time, and where I thought that this YouTube, Google pulling YouTube was like Google finally firing back for what they did with Amazon, what they did with their Kindle, as far as not letting the Play Store be on the Kindle. I was actually very wrong about that. I had not realized that Amazon had pulled Google products from the Amazon store. So
yes.
you couldn't buy a Chromecast, you couldn't buy a Chromebook sold by Google on the Amazon store. Now you can buy Chromebooks from other
Like
manufacturers,
Acer and stuff like that. Yeah.
right? And
Can't get the Pixel.
can't get the Pixel. And the podcast I was listening to, even when as far as to say when Google bought Nest, Amazon removed all Nest products. Now when
Yes.
I looked for Nest on Amazon, I see a bunch of Nest stuff on there. Matter of fact, that's where I got my camera. But again, to their defense, all the Nest products are by other parties. Like none of them are through Google. So I don't know exactly how that works, but I couldn't find, there were no Chromecasts out there. There was a bunch of Chromecast knockoffs, which looking at, and I am a Chromecast user, I'm like, well, that looks like a Chromecast, even like kind of has the logo, but I guess it's not once you read it. And so I didn't realize how deep that story ran. So that's pretty. And I was already against kind of Amazon, and I'm an Amazon user. I was already against Amazon in that story, and I'm kind of siding even more so with Google now, because it's like, no, these guys don't get to take and not leverage their platform or lock them out of their platform in every other avenue. It's kind of BS. So, but with that said, it looks like you have a story here now.
Well, so Amazon did pull all of the Chromecast stuff, and then Google's response was pulling YouTube, their premier product. And this was a big fight that basically got the consumers outraged at Amazon, because Amazon was the face of the missing feature.
Mm-hmm.
Great autoplay audio. That's
was
awesome.
What was that? is that about to happen for me?
That was an ad for me on the CNET site.
Oh gosh, that's gonna happen to me then.
Yeah. Well, Amazon has relented, but they relented in my favorite way, which is maliciously. They added Chromecast Ultra back onto the Amazon store. However, they also re-added the Apple TV and Apple TV 4K versions as well. So they said, hey, you know what? You want it to be a free market? Fine. Apple wins too.
Well, wait a minute. So, wow. So if you really want to get into conspiracy theory here, Amazon Prime just got released for Apple TV. And
yes, it did.
Apparently there are like all these like crazy exceptions had to be made. And I'm wondering if part of the negotiation was, hey, if we let you on our platform, you've got to sell a product. And whatever rule or regulation they were using to lock out Amazon or Apple TV was the same rule and regulation they were using to lock out Chromecast. And they're like, okay, we'll lift that regulation. And somebody in legal said, guys, if we do this for them, we've got to allow these guys back into our sandbox as well. And somebody, kind of have to do that now. I'm curious.
So,
now,
I want you to imagine something.
Okay.
At Amazon, there are probably 12 people directly involved with the decision of carrying or not carrying a product like this.
Mm-hmm.
You've probably got your VP of sales, CTO, CEO, CFO, CIO, VPs of all those branches, and then Bezos, a couple other guys. But I'm guessing that boardroom table where they decide this has 12 to 18 seats, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that at Apple it's smaller than that. I'm guessing that at Apple it's probably 8 to 12 seats. And that at Google it's probably bigger. It's probably 30 seats. But you're still looking at you're still looking at 3 conference rooms with a regular amount of people all making this gigantic decision that involves literally billions of dollars. I think it's fair to say that any conspiracy theory that you have about how this is market manipulation, how this is consumer smoke and mirrors, this is product release versus deprecation. Is it new Coke where it's bad on purpose so that the old Coke Classic can switch to corn syrup? Probably. You know that story. Do you know that?
Yeah, I know that story. Yeah.
So we're only looking at 100 people involved in a billions of dollars decision about what products carry what. And that's I think being forgiving. I think it could very easily be 8 people who met at Mar-a-Lago and said, I had this brilliant idea.
Mar-a-Lago. Why is it got to be there? What are you implying? What?
Well, because you know the dining room set that they use in Mr. Robot this season for whenever White Rose meets with whenever White Rose meets with the executive of V Corp.
Yeah.
They're modeling that after Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, I did not know that. Oh.
Yeah.
All right. So when is this supposed to happen? Is this supposed to be happening now? Because I just did a test. I went to Amazon. Now, I'm a Google user. Amazon's aware of this. I typed in Chromecast. I got all the junk Chromecast, all the Anycast, and all the fake ones. I narrowed it down by brand of Google, and I got nothing. There's no Chromecast here for me. I do have an ad for a Fire TV if I was interested. I have a Google Wi-Fi system. I have a replacement power cord, and I have a Nexus wireless charger.
So take a drink.
Can't. I'm out of drink now.
Amazon is unique in that they are a fulfillment arena. They are supply and sending. For them to add the product to the site, they have to acquire enough of the devices to keep in stock at the 500 regional distribution centers that they have. This information about the change came out literally a couple hours ago. They're in the process of purchasing all the devices from Google to stock in their supply because they're not.
So this just happened. Yeah, this just happened.
Yeah, it's not. They're not selling these on consignment for Google. They're selling these at a profit from their own supply purchased from Google.
Gotcha.
So they need to stock up before they can list it.
All right. So there you go. There's your answer. Okay, cool. And
again, I mean, back to the conspiracy theory, this means that they have to buy in bulk at a discount rate from Google, which was the problem they had in the first place, was Google wasn't giving them enough of a profit margin versus Google's own fulfillment centers. Amazon said, we need to make $5 per Chromecast. Google said, well, we're making $6, so you're going to have to deal with the difference. And that was the fight.
All right. Well, I don't know. I mean, I think this is we've had a lot of good conversation here today. I know you've got a crap load of cards still here. I feel like this is a good spot to kind of call it a night, though. Is there anything you feel like you really need to get in?
I do. I have one thing. I got what I consider to be a bizarre email today. A totally bizarre email.
Really? So this is... I was kind of hoping you weren't going to pick this one because I felt like I wanted to do some research on this one and have a conversation.
I want it to sit in the back of your head and of our listeners' heads.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Do you know what Neo4j is?
I'm a fan of Neo4j, yeah. So it's a graph database. It's really cool. Very one of the kind of the first ones that had like tools online and it's nice. I've played with it. I have never used it for anything for production. I've just kind of done it for educational purposes, but I am a fan of it. So it's different than I guess
it's different than relational. So it establishes.
Well, I want to make sure because I might have misspoke. I said it was a graph. It's a graph database. It's not GraphQL, right? So GraphQL is something completely different. Yeah. Okay. So go ahead.
What they do is it figures out distances of relationships between items. So you can tell how far one thing is related to another via the whole 3 steps of Kevin Bacon type thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say the classic example that they use for their demo is the whole Kevin Bacon and how people, Kevin Bacon has acted with everybody within like 3 steps or whatever. Yeah,
right. Well, I'm on their mailing list because I had a project a while ago where I was interested in Neo4j, and I got an email from Neo4j announcing that the Panama Papers had been released as a desktop database available to search immediately.
So the Panama Papers?
I'm sorry, the Paradise Papers, the sequel to the Panama Papers.
What are the Paradise Papers?
The Paradise Papers are massive disclosure of overseas hidden funds from the ultra-rich and ultra-rich corporations.
Okay.
Money that's being hidden from people and tax havens and the true value or true worth of certain people. And these documents, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of documents. They're incredibly difficult to get through. The only way that you could logically get through them is through something like a graph database. And the reporting institution, International Consortium for Investigative Journalists, created a Neo4j database of the Paradise Papers and released. And Neo4j thought, hey, this is something that we should let our users know about, because what's more fun to tinker around with than a test database that actually has implications in the real world?
Holy smokes. There's a desktop implementation of this? Wait a minute.
Right, so it's just it's a desktop browsable command line interface where you can just sort of surf the database with different queries and just feel it out and just play with it.
I'm installing it as we speak. This is too good to pass up.
This might be the greatest advertising ever for Neo4j. Is, hey, you just want to tinker around with it? Here's some real world data that the ultra rich literally don't want you to see. Have fun. And I think this is one of the greatest things I've ever been emailed by a company in my life.
Right. If my system dies right now because it's trying to churn and burn through all this information, I apologize, but I've got to see what this is.
I love this so much. It's just a company saying, hey, guess what? We got everyone's dirty laundry. Want to see it? It's so amazing to me. They have a desktop browser for Windows, Mac, and Linux. The graph database is downloadable. They give you all the tutorials you need on how to browse it. It's got all these.
I'm just agreeing to stuff now, man. I'm not even reading it.
Just yes.
398.6 megabytes for the database
of text documents.
It's downloading the Paradise Papers 3.30. Yeah, this is going to kill my internet connection. I have a feeling.
But I had to get that out there for this episode for our listeners, because I think this is both hilarious and dystopian at the same time. And you know me, I can't pass that up. A funny apocalypse, that's my thing.
Did I tell you I got my internet speeds up to over 300 megabytes? What is it? Not megabytes. Whatever it is, 300 down and like 28 or 30 up.
Nice.
Yeah, it's rocking right now.
Mine got cut off last night at literally the last 5 minutes of a horror movie I was watching on Netflix. And if you know anything, no. Oh no.
Oh no.
It's quote unquote scheduled maintenance.
Really?
Yeah.
Your whole internet went down because of scheduled maintenance.
They turned it off, and it was literally the end of a horror movie, which if you like horror movies, you know, missing the end is kind of a big deal.
Kind of important.
It was just down for 2 hours.
I'm in the Paradise Papers, just like that.
Yeah, super cool, right? So yeah, we covered Doom and Gloom earlier. Now we're covering Happy Fun Tinker Toy.
Look at that! Oh, this is going to be the coolest thing to play with. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's like seeing Google Maps for the first time again. Or Google Earth.
What is this dot right here? I want to know what this guy is. All right, this is cool. I'm gonna have to mess with it. All right, anybody listening to the show and is into this sort of thing, it will be in our show notes. You'll want to check it out. phpugly.com/80. What did we say this was? 87?
87.
Yeah, phpugly.com/87. And we will make sure this makes into the show notes. This is pretty stinking cool, Thomas. I've got to be real with you, brother. This is cool. You can zoom in. What? Are you serious right now? This is cool. All right. Oh, this is so cool. Interesting. All right. Cool. Okay, that's good. We're at a good stopping point now. I think we've for this is why they overruled net neutrality to get terrible shows like ours off the air. So okay. All right, brother. This has been episode 87 of PHP Ugly. I'm Eric Van Johnson.
I'm Tom Rideout.
Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly.
All right, man. Let me stop the broadcast.